Welcome to Shawnee Grows. I encourage you to learn as you grow. Thank you all for being here. We are talking about companion planting. It means many things. We're going to get into all the things. We are going to discuss the bees in the news at the end of the live stream. Team Replay, I want to hear from you. Tell me what you like to plant together. What insects can you identify in your garden? Let's take it to the chat and see who's with us this evening. We have Mushroom Mark. It says, haha, Diva in the Dirt. I'm number one tonight, and I'm number one Shawnee's companion. I'm actually going to skip on the live tonight and catch the replay tomorrow because, yes, it is going to be negative 40 Fahrenheit with the wind chill tomorrow morning when he has to go start up the feed mill. And he says, Shawnee is my favoritist, bestest companion ever. Love you, beautiful. Good night. Love you more, Mark. Carol says, yay, another live. Okay, I may be in the bushes or in bed. Keep the trolls guessing. Well, you just told them you're in the bushes, Carol. It's not very stealthy. Sweet Mushroom Mark, sleep well. Hope it warms up. Yikes. So our forecast says by Saturday it will be 40 degrees Fahrenheit. So you do the math on that's like the range of difference there. Carol says, by the way, everyone, please hit your like on the way in and on the way out. By the way, I won't be greeting folks maybe watching from my TV, but much love. Now show Shawnee Grows some love. Whoop whoop. Amaponian, good to see you. First comment from Venezuela. Food Forest Permaculture will be joining us. Arlene is catching us on the replay. That is great. Replays are forever. I encourage all the replayers to tell me hi in the comments section. Mike's Chaotic Gardening, welcome to our conversation as you listen and do your chores. Very good of you. I would like to hear from everyone. How's your weather? Let us know as you join in. I just spoke about mine. Howie from Food Forest Permaculture says sunny and warm. Storms, radios, and cats made it in. Hello, hello. I don't know if you want to talk about your weather. Miss Sharon, so good to have you. Thanks for joining us. Oh, Barry, the birds and the bees, the jokes have begun. You're right. Barry says hi to Mark. Tim Mitchell, welcome to the chat. Miss Sharon says hi to folks. Grant McIntosh, welcome back. Good to see you. Hope you have some comments to share about companion planting with us. Serena Norell, hello. Welcome. Jack and Danette, hello everyone. New subscriber. My husband and I are beekeepers from Wyoming, and this channel is right up our alley. Oh, beekeeping. I hear from DCBs all sorts of things. Let's see. We also have, I think I saw Dave Knight. Let's see. Dave Knight, hello. It is so good to see you. Serena says, what else does mustard repel fumigate besides squash bugs? Nematodes. Is that what they're called? It was on Jack in the Garden that hangs out with Epic Gardening. He was using mustard to repel, I thought it was nematodes. Okay, we say storms, radios, and cats. My weather, nah, we're about to be pummeled again with nasty weather. Yeah, is it like rain, ice, snow all in one day? Oh, here we go. Danae. Aha. Jack and Danae. Got it. Thank you for that. Miss Sharon has a friendly reminder for live chat or all messages. Okay, well, I don't know what huh means. Is someone talking to you about something? Because I've taken care of something. And you can talk to me about it privately. There we go. Okay, good. Just double checking. I have the other tab open and I always look over on my other screen to make sure everything is kosher in the chat. All right, let's see. What is companion planting? It can help with nitrogen. We have nitrogen in the air that the plants absorb and it goes in the roots and it creates nodules. We leave the roots in the ground so those nodules can release their nitrogen and help feed the plant in the soil food web. We have spoken about this on past live streams. It also helps break up compacted heavy soils. Living mulches are beneficial. These when I hear the word break up compacted heavy soil and living mulch and help with nitrogen, what does my brain say? It says cover crops, right? We're talking about companion planting, which is planting more than one plant family together, which is the definition of a cover crop, eh? Support or structure can be used in companion planting. Barriers. When I say barriers, I'm saying hedgerows. And then we have trapping as well as pushing away. We have our predators conversation and pollinators conversation. So why companion planting? Well, it can promote air circulation when you're planting in layers. So you have different types of roots. There's shallow roots, there's roots that are tap roots, there's roots that go out horizontally. You can grow something in the ground, like a root crop. You can grow something next to it that doesn't take up a deep root space. It has more, I think it's called lateral space. And then there's another crop by that same family that you can plant that has a different root structure. We want to have that diversity in the soil. All the different plant families communicating together through their roots, sending out different signals with rhizophagy. We have communication that they intake and then they put out back to the microorganisms of what do I need? And as that root grows and stretches, they can adjust and feed the plant with what they need. Many roots in the ground. Keeping that soil covered is another benefit. When you have all of these plant families together, it's providing this cover like a shade to the earth, so you're not losing a bunch of water through evaporation and you're not baking the soil. Microorganisms don't want to rock and roll when it's 140-degree surface, 2-inch surface, because you don't have your ground covered, as well as chopping and dropping with green mulch. Like I said, those roots are so important to talk to our organisms in the soil. If we have a healthy immune system of a plant, it's less tasty for a bug to come and eat it. Now, yes, you're going to have something at some point eat it and try to eat it, and it's going to recover from that quickly because it has a healthy immune system, and it's not going to bring in bugs if it's all healthy. When your plant has max nutrition capacity, it's so good for the human who is eating it and their gut biology and the animal's gut, right? So with our first section here of the nitrogen, what I want to do is talk about like examples of how these work. So what I'm doing is this book called Plant Partners, Science-Based Companion Planting Strategies for the Vegetable Garden. There is a link in the description for this specific book. There is another link in the description for a great book that I don't have, but I might get, wrote by a guy who is got a pretty big YouTube channel, which I also linked his channel in the description, that gives all sorts of scientific reasons and pictures and charts about what we're talking about tonight. So that's where I got my information. So in the nitrogen conversation, you can plant peas with lettuce, bush green beans with potatoes, fava beans with sweet corn, cowpeas with peppers, because the first crop I list is the nitrogen fixer, the peas, the beans, the cowpeas, right? That other reason to companion plant we spoke about was breaking up compacted heavy soils. So your forage radish has that deeper root. It's a much fatter, bigger, longer root. So like your daikon radish, and as well as turnips was in that list. So now though, as I'm going to continue, I'm going to hop back and forth from the chat to what I'm talking about, and I'm going to pull up pictures. So please share your thoughts of things if you've tried any of these combinations, and I will get to them as I can. Okay, sorry being quiet now, I promise. I would love for you to speak whatever's on your mind, Barry. Serena, we're going to have 108 hours of freezing weather with the temperatures as low as 0 degrees Fahrenheit. So I wrapped my grain stock in the tarp to minimize freezing of rosemary and other plants. Everyone, prepare for the cold. Grant attracts pollinators is huge. Dave Knight, this cold weather will kill the rye I planted for a cover crop and the squash borer. Winter kill is a method of termination for your cover crop. When you plant a cover crop, understand its termination strategy that you want to use before you plant that seed. And yay to killing pests. And Storms is going to be right back, so maybe he didn't even hear me say, I would love to hear what you have to say. Shadow Scout Swede, welcome. Good morning, it is good to see you again. We are talking about companion plants. You can tell us about your weather. It is good to see you. We have, what do you call a sig vegetable? A horseradish. Serena loves to tell jokes. Feel free to read them at your leisure in the chat. Going back to our conversation, benefits of companion planting, we have the living mulch conversation. As I pull up an image, these are just images of examples of companion planting as we go. So examples of living mulches. So that's a plant that you have as a ground cover that you don't necessarily have a plan to harvest from. It's just to keep the roots in the soil like we talked about. Crimson clover. Clover is a nitrogen fixer. We have red clover, white clover, oats, rye, yellow mustard, creeping thyme. Sometimes with living mulches, you do need to trim them. You could do that by hand. You could do that with a push mower. You can do that with a weed whacker. Being very careful. Some stuff, if you just get it so it only, max grows 1 inch, 2 inch tall, you don't have to maintenance it. I would like to experiment with living pathways. So having that clover in the pathway that you would walk and having it mixed with probably rye. And then once the rye gets to a certain height, I would mow it. And then now I'm creating a mulch that I can cover each section with as it spits it out of the pathway, if that makes sense, to help feed and cover. I would really like to experiment with that. So we'll see if we can manage that. I haven't bought any seed for that project. With companion planting, we can also do supports, structures, trellises. So different examples of what those look like would be planting sunflowers with mini pumpkins. So the mini pumpkin vine is going to climb up the sunflower stalk. Now, a lot of times with this is timing is important. Usually you're planting the thing that you're using as a trellis first and waiting a certain amount of weeks and then planting the crop that's going to climb it. Another example is amaranth with chayote, quinoa with bitter melon, sunchokes with cucamelons, Mexican sunflowers, otherwise known as tithonia, with Malabar spinach. And I have some more examples. Something called Kiss Me Over the Garden Gate with gherkin cucumbers. So it's a flower, which I've never heard of, and gherkin cucumbers. What I've done with cucumbers is I've done sunflowers and then had the cucumber climb up the sunflower. That's worked really well, but you have to choose, a tall sunflower, not a dwarf, like a mammoth situation. And then sorghum with asparagus beans, okra with currant tomatoes. So I have a note here, and it says page 88. So the reason I marked that is because I myself was like, what's a currant tomato? I don't understand what that means. And it did list some varieties. So it lists the sweet thumbnail-sized fruits: Matt's wild cherry, Hawaiian currant, sweet pea, and Mexico midget for a currant tomato. That's what that meant. We have some more people joining us in the chat. Let's see if I can find the beginning. Ooh, I think I found it. What kills squash vine borer? Your hand in a cup of water with just soap, and you drowned it. You destroy it. Let's see when we get to the predators, Serena, if we can find a predator that eats the squash vine borer. Stay tuned. Food, forest, permaculture, polyculture rules. Many bird houses will support many birds that eat bugs. Yes. FYI, I did not put into this presentation the furry, feathery friends that help us. But yes, thank you so much, Howie, for bringing that to the attention, because I forgot. Feed your birds in the winter. I do have a bird feeder going at both sites, and extend the feeding into the spring so they come and get bugs to eat. Yes. Jack Beanstalk. Hello, good evening. Okay, it's -6 Celsius today. And you like the cold. Is that too cold, or is that just right for you? It was -31 Fahrenheit this morning, and it's going to be -40 Fahrenheit tomorrow. So we have prepared ourselves for that the best we can. Netta's Nest, salutations all, welcome in. Silly Lily, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I see it later on here. There it is. Her catchphrase when she comes in. Howie has a message for everybody. It says thumbs up and share this live out, please, and Santa will treat you nice. Okay, storm shadows and cats. So do they still complement each other if they're in separate raised beds? Great question. We do have to consider the distance. So we're going to give more examples, and we're going to talk about when to know if it should be feet away or if it should be interplanted directly near, right? And a lot of it comes into play with what's your purpose. With companion plants, what is the purpose you're going for? Are you going for nutrients, or are you going for to keep something away from it, a predator, right? So let's hope we can answer that question for Barry this evening as we go along. Newfound Drone Productions, hello. Yes, we would love to hear about your walk, Howie. I'm sure he saw all kinds of beautiful flowers since it's warm and sunny there. John Doe 2023 is here again. Welcome back. Good evening, everyone. Howie says the walk was great. Saw beds of snowdrop. Whoa, the snowdrops are out. Yeah, I don't see that till April. Shadow Scout Sweet is going to get me some coffee, and I'll be back in a minute. Coffee break. Something about a albino jalapeno pepper. So it's white and it's spicy like a jalapeno. Is that what I'm getting? Chilling like a villain, Howie says. Started it from seed. Okay. She's in the bushes with wet hair, but here, says Carol from South Florida Sunshine. She did a live stream about survival gardening, but she's in Florida. So like her survival garden list is much different than us in the north. Check it out. Save it to your watch later and watch it at another time. Stay here and finish this live. You're trying to type over a cat in your way? If you didn't know this already, Storm's Radios and Cats has cats. He's been doing radio live streams where you can listen in on the scanner, subscribe, and check that out if that interests you. It's still small. It doesn't even have its true leaves yet. Oh, it's got its cotyledon leaves instead of its true leaves. Do a video, Bill. Let's all see it. Can't wait to see it grow if it don't die. It was only 52 degrees here All right, John Doe. I did ask everyone, and as you come in, please tell me your weather. Okay, what do we got? It's not that bad, and I really enjoyed the temperature. All right, Dave Knight. I put wood ash around my squash vines to get rid of the borer in season. There we go. Keep throwing the tips out there for everybody. Carol's gonna have a jackfruit soon. Tree is putting on both male and female flowers. Whoop whoop. It is 80 in Venezuela, in Barcelona. 80. Hot. Richard, welcome back. I don't know what the numbers mean. 05H20 and 29V? What? I'm confused. It was 60 in Florida today. I think you're getting a cold front too, though, aren't you? Yeah, stay here. Go visit South Florida Sunshine later, please and thank you. Silly Lily has a question for Carol. Those jackfruit get huge, the size of a pumpkin on the— What? The size of pumpkins? In Jamaica? Oh, in Jamaica, everything's way different there. Okay, what do we got? Good morning. 28 Celsius, 82 Fahrenheit. 82 Fahrenheit. That's hot for me. Hey, DCBs! You did! What? We still got 13 boxes of live honeybees. Oh, like, okay. I thought maybe you were saying you added 13 more. And I was like, wait, what? We are going to talk about bees later. Bees have been in the news, and I'd like to talk about it at the end. Shadow Scout Suite is back. It was 48 there today. Pretty warm. It was chilly for Silly Lily, and it's going to warm up. Yeah, it's going to warm up this weekend for us. We just got to get through this dip, polar, Arctic, freezing. Okay, 20 pounds for real? Wow. H2O is water, yes. That must have been in that comment that I was like, I don't know what you're saying. It's 20 past 5. Oh. I read that all wrong. Okay, it all makes sense now. It's all clear. Thank you, everybody. Okay, it's 38 Celsius predicted for today. Must go water the garden. Yeah, the rule of thumb is, an inch of water in a week, but that's, fluff because you need to think about at what stage of their growth are they in? What is the high temperature for the day? Yeah, don't sit under a jackfruit. Yeah, did they just fall off the tree? DCBs, no worries. It's only 7:30 here and I got nothing to do. I'll hang out with you all. All right. Food, forest, permaculture, daffodils, snowdrops, gorse, rhododendron are blooming. Many more on the way, like tulips and Oregon grapes. Picked beauty berries today. That is on the list of things to try to grow in my presentation here. Let's head on back over to where I left off. We were talking about support structures and those currant tomatoes. So next conversation, I'm going to get my picture back up. This is a picture of a popular companion planting we all hear about, the corn with the beans and the winter squash. It would have been like dent corn, and then a drying pole bean, and then a winter squash. So let's talk about our barriers and hedgerows. There's dogwood, hollies, beautyberries, blueberries, elderberry, coneflowers, sumac, sunflowers, witch hazel. I have to see if I can grow here because that'd be super cool. Yarrow is also on that list. So to look at pictures of hedgerows, I have provided them here. There are links in the description for everything I'm showing. So like if it's got a picture, it had an article with it and you can read the article in depth. It's probably going to talk to you about how they planted things, what they planted, where they are from growing, where are they growing. These are very established hedgerows and they have a mix of things. See how it's all around the perimeter of where they're growing? Isn't that cool? Goals. Farming goals. Look at this. They've got like this lavender bushy section. It's very, very thought out, planned out, I feel like here. So, with trapping, new conversation now with companion planting. Trapping, you're either interplanting or you're planting something several feet away. What it is a plant that something, as in a pest, really wants. And you're getting it to go to that specific crop instead of the food that you planted, the main thing that you want to eat. Okay, so let me quickly go over a small description on page 99 in my book, Plant Partners, which is a link in the description below. Locate the trap crop on the perimeter of the garden several feet from the desired crop if the pest is highly mobile. Okay, so understanding bug identification of what is coming to your garden and what is eating what, like we need to add that to our gardening journals and our minds. Okay, so if it's highly mobile, that would mean a Colorado potato beetle, the squash bugs, harlequin bugs, lygus bugs. If the offspring is mobile, like the cabbage worms, the diamondback moth caterpillars, that's when we can plant that trap crop further away from the main crop because they can physically get there. The other word, interplanting, is a trap crop that is very close to the vegetable that you want to harvest and eat, or in an alternative row in close proximity. So for pests with limited mobility, aphids, mites, whiteflies, flea beetles are examples of those. So you have to get on your hat of bug identification and figure stuff out. So for some examples of trapping, we can plant radish in a row next to tomatoes to trap flea beetles. You can combine buckwheat, millet, sorghum, sunflowers around the perimeter of a vegetable that you notice has issues with stink bugs and any leaf-footed bugs. You're trapping the pest to destroy it in some fashion. So more examples. Plant collards several feet away from the cabbages, and you start them before you plant the cabbage. You establish the trap crop first. Plant collards to trap the cabbage moth on the collards so they're less likely to eat all the cabbages, right? Plant cowpeas several feet away from the tomatoes to trap green stink bugs. Plant the cowpeas weeks before your tomatoes. Then you start checking the cowpeas daily when you're doing your garden rounds to collect and destroy the stink bugs, because it's also important to understand life cycles of the insect that you have an issue with and stopping it from having life. The most common one I hear about is that blue Hubbard squash. Planting a patch of blue Hubbard squash 3 to 4 weeks ahead of the time that you want to plant your main squash and several feet away from the main squash patch to trap that squash bug and squash vine borer. You're going to examine the blue Hubbard squash patch and capture and destroy those pests, the squash bugs and squash vine borer, before it comes and attacks the actual squash you want to eat. You're sacrificing the blue Hubbard because it puts out some smell and they just love it, okay? Plant mustard greens to trap harlequin bugs. Plant a row several weeks prior, several feet away on an outer edge. We also have pushing away and confusing pests with plants that have a scent that is strong. So alliums would be onions, garlic, scallions. You're planting them with peppers to confuse aphids. This is an example of interplanting, so in close proximity, because again, we acknowledge that the aphid cannot travel very far. Another one that I do practice is plant nasturtiums with your squash, pumpkin, zucchini, melons, cucumbers to confuse squash bugs. That is an example of interplanting. It's directly in the same space with that main crop, and it looks beautiful. I love it. More examples here. Planting green onions with Chinese cabbage to confuse the flea beetle. Plant basil with tomatoes to confuse thrips. Plant calendula with collards to confuse aphids. It makes them not able to locate the thing they want because of the strong scents or colors. Sage, dill, chamomile, hyssop with cabbages, broccoli, and kale to repel cabbage moth from laying the eggs and the caterpillar worm eating your crop. Interplanting, again, is what we're talking about. So you can do all of these things together. You can plant a trap crop and interplant something. So you're keeping the pest confused and luring it to the trap and then disposing of it, destroying it, right? We have to have predators in our garden. There's good bugs that help us for the bad bugs, right? So beneficial insects that will eat pests, we need them. They will come if they have something to eat and somewhere to live. So most likely the pest comes first, right? And you're like, oh my God, what do I do, right? Well, you just provide a home for that predator to come and eat that pest, and it will take care of itself. We don't have to step in and try and save the day, right? So there's sweet alyssum, zinnias, sunflowers, asters, yarrow, dill, cilantro, fennel, angelica, golden alexander too. So planting those things to then bring in the ladybugs, the lacewings, the spiders, the soldier beetles, scyphid flies, pirate bugs, damsel bugs to eat aphids. So this section, it's plant this to bring in this predator to then eat this pest is what we're talking about. More examples. Plant dill, cilantro, caraway, anise, fennel, sage, marjoram, oregano, lemon balm, rosemary, thyme to bring in parasitic wasps to eat the caterpillars, your hornworms, the fruit worms, the moths. Parasitic wasps are our friend. They are a beneficial. Crimson clover brings in minute pirate bugs to eat thrips. Plant Queen Anne's lace and goldenrod to bring in robber fly to eat the cabbage worm. I'm going to head down to the chat before we start the next section. Oh, there's a conversation here. Right, Silly Lily. Funny thing is they are cauliflorous bearing, so often they bear fruit on their trunks, like my jaboticaba. I got it out. DCB, Serena, when I played Missive multiplayer online games, I went to Mr. GC in the forums, so then I started doing B videos. I went with the DC thing. And a lot of people ask DCBs if I sell honey in DC. Miss Sharon, if you have a YouTube channel and I missed your link, please let me know. Aw, look at you. Great moderator. Thank you. Appreciate your time with us, doing all the things. Newfound Drone Production says, I have done this. Silly Lily says to Carol, oh, okay. Are there ones that hang from branches? I seem to recall that about ones in Jamaica. TCB says, cucumber beetles. I dislike them very much. You would like to trap or repel cucumber beetles. We need to know what eats cucumber beetles. If I don't name the pest that you want to know about, we can solve that. Maybe put it in the description thing. What is it called? The comments, like after the video goes published. Help with cucumber beetle, and then we can do some more digging. Understanding what type of bug it is, like what family the insect comes from. helps identify what will eat it as well. Howdy to everyone else in the chat that I haven't conversed with yet. Bees like buckwheat. DC Bees knows. Bees like buckwheat. We are going to list some plants for bees later on. Continuing on with the tree fruit conversation. They hang from the branches too, concerned as the ones that probably are fruit are near the top where the tree gets better air circulation and probably more sun exposure. That was a pretty garden. I like the lines, everything in its place, wasn't it? Yeah. How many people take care of that? Not one, not two, probably more than that. South Florida Sunshine likes buckwheat hot cereal to DCBs. How do you use it as a food? The jackfruit? We love to hear about it. Stop it from having life, says Shawnee Gross. Destroy. Buckwheat honey. Hey, I had buckwheat honey here from a Minnesota bee farm. Bees like mustard a lot too when the mustard produces the flower. It's very pretty, little yellow flower. Serena shares this fact in all of the gardening chats she's in about planting mustard in a bed that you want to put squash in, let it go to seed. You can prevent squash bugs from bothering your plants because mustard is a biofumigant. They travel even less far when I squish them. Careful with squishing bugs because certain bugs omit a scent when you squish them, and it tells their family to come. So drowning them in a cup of water with soap makes it so there's no smell. Hugo Homestead, welcome in. We're talking about companion planting. You can peel the outside or people slice it down the middle. It has a lot of latex that way, and you eat it fresh. They also use it somehow as vegan meat substitute for the jackfruit. That's a whole lot of science. Cucumber beetles and shrewser mice are my banes. Yes, so the fuzzy, furry, feathery pests and predators are a whole nother conversation that I did not include in this presentation. But it's a great, great subject because people it's wildlife. We need wildlife. They need to eat too. You got to have balance, right? We are learning new things in the chat between each other. I love it. Jack Beanstalk, Silly Lily, good evening. Tell Mr. Ken hello. I watched him a couple years ago before he started his own. Oh, that's a cool story. DCBs, I'm going to build a chicken coop in my garden area this summer. That is my summer garden project. I love it. What other people have summer garden projects in the books? Serena Norell, I have sage in my green stock and I just started hyssop seeds today. I started toothache plant seeds also. Is there a plant the toothache plant is a companion to? When talking about companion plants, they have a purpose. They're going to do a job. Are they going to have a pest that likes them or doesn't like them, or is it for nutrition? So to specifically look up an individual plant, you can have a book or a Google search, unless someone in the chat has an answer. Toothache plant is a medicinal plant. As far as other facts about it, I am not sure. Carol says, indeed, I would have liked science way better in school if they had us learning gardening and applying science like this. Well, we haven't done any hands-on projects. That would have made it even better. You love parasitic wasps. They're very good. Praying mantis. I don't have those here in my land. So I like to hear about them. You have those in your garden. You saw 3 different ones last year. Wow. When I went to Indiana, I saw my first praying mantis in person. Howie says, my neighbors have bug problems and ask me why I don't. Ha! I tell them I'm smarter than a bug. Shadow Scout Sweet agrees with South Florida Sunshine. Yes, so Silly Lily has her husband Ken, and he has a channel called It's All About the Biology. And he was interviewed on the channel Gardner Scott this morning, and it was a fantastic conversation. And It's All About the Biology had a live stream today as well. And that was a great conversation about growing a wonderful plant that you could check out. I was there, that's for sure. DCBs. I'd like to make cucumber beetles and mice to be non-moving in my garden this year. Mice messed up a lot of stuff last year. Yikes. Well, we're not talking about furry or feathery predators, but do you have any owl boxes? Can you have an owl move in to eat the mice? Miss Sharon is still trying to keep cats out. If anyone has any words of advice on keeping cats out besides spiky grids that are in squares that you put together in the empty space so the cat can't jump in the bed. It's like, what is that called when you pop a tire on a strip the cops put out? It's like that. I can't think of the word. And then fences, obviously, that cats can't get in and out of. A dog, maybe? I'm not sure we could use it for plants, like stuff with thorns as a hedgerow would probably keep a cat out. But cats can go low to the ground and belly crawl in. Well, there's always replays, but I get that the experience of being in a live with the live chat is a totally awesome thing versus watching something on the replay. All the honey talk is going to make me hungry. Oh, well, later we are going to talk about honey even more. It is 4:36 in the morning at Shadow Scout Sweet's house, and we are learning about the mustard as a biofumigant. It is the nematodes. See, I was talking about it earlier, and I thought, is that the right thing? I think it is, and I was right, it sounds like. Oh, Jack was in the show on Friday. Hey, hey. I hope you come back. Okay, Howie says, wood ash and biochar bugs don't like it as it's rough. That's right. Oh, see, nematode are used by beekeepers to unmove other types of bugs. You're working today? Is that why you're up early? Dave Knight, when I was a kid, everybody used DDT and we had no bugs or no ecosystem either, right? Well, the purpose of our conversation today is to not use any synthetics or harsh anything. Hey, Crazy Life Homestead, you made it. Welcome to the companion planting conversation. We have more to get into. We've talked about a lot so far. DCBs, that's funny, Carol. Some beekeepers use nematodes to unmove small hive beetle larvae. The larvae drops out of the hives into the soil, so they put toads in the soil. Hands-on projects happen at our home-based labs, our gardens. Yeah, it's we talk a lot on lives right now in the winter because I'm not in the garden. So I expect live streams to slow down when I'm in the garden actively all week long, because I'm not able to live stream over there. Diva in the dirt, hello, hello. Yeah, of course, you're welcome. Thank you for supporting the channel over here as well. Okay, we have some questions, DCBs, trying to follow that. You mean beneficial nematodes or actual toads? Right, good question. Okay. Right, yep, totally. It was a good chat. So Howie has facts about one owl house will need 1,000 mice per year to feed themselves. It's all about that balance of providing a habitat and a food source, which is a common theme tonight with our companion planting. Miss Sharon is putting links to important channels. So go over there and subscribe and come back. Open it in another tab or something. Spike strip. I knew Barry was going to pull it out of his... That's what I was talking about. They make these sectioned graded spike strips that you lay in like the walking path essentially or around the garden so a cat can't jump up in there. The nematodes, I was running out of letter count. Hey, I have had that problem. If you haven't checked out the poll, visit the poll I have in the chat and answer it. Speaking of words and character counts, there's not enough in the poll answers to fit what I want to type ever. Yes, you had to shorten it. Fake cucumbers. Watching the internet taught me cats don't like cucumbers sneaking up on them. So is that a strategy we should implement in the garden? Have you ever hung discs like CDs or DVDs in the fencing to scare birds away because of the reflection? Have you ever done any of that? I mean, we're not talking about feathers and fur tonight, but it's came to my mind. Replay is good as long as you can read the chat. I know, and the videos have been taking, I feels like 12 hours for it to process because I have auto live chat replay checked. So if you come to watch it and you're upset that the live chat hasn't loaded yet, come back when you can and it'll be in there because I have it programmed to do that. Because I agree. Hello, hello, Crazy Life Homestead, yes. I read kind of quick, so I might read faster than the replay, and that's okay. The horse chores have been completed. Huzzah. Yeah, it does that sometimes. It gives you a burst of energy when you wash your hair. The plastic forks in the ground with the fork up as a barrier to trick the cats is a suggestion from the chat. Keep them coming. You got the poll wrong. Can you click another answer once you click an answer? Probably not. Howie says, good night, Earthlings. Plant a food forest for all the creatures big and small. Nature looks after you when you look after nature. Awesome stream, Shawnee Grows. Thank you, Howie. Good night. Sleep well. Catch the replay for the bee conversation we're going to have later. Yes, chat, did you take the poll? Hopefully, Miss Sharon, you'll remind me later to close the poll. I'm sure all of you did a great job answering it, though. Deck tapes don't work. Birds don't care. Yeah, right? With the, it's not shiny. I wonder if you took the tape out and had it dangling. I don't want to kill the birds. This is mean. So this is not applicable at all, but it might look like a worm, but they know worms aren't in the air. So just erase all of the things I just said. Oh, I love this. The motion activated sprinklers. They used this. Someone used this. What were all the pests? I think it was for sure deer. And it's the question was, well, aren't I wasting water? Aren't I overwatering the space? And it's the way it's set is you strategically put it on the barriers, the outside, like a hedgerow, and it's got the motion. So once something comes past it, it goes and does a quick burst. It's not continuously running, right? So yes, fantastic. I forgot about those. See, we're just going to have a whole conversation and a separate live stream about the furry and feathery friends to keep them out. And then you guys have to come back and say all these good things. Seeds that we have started from Serena. Lessa, chocolate, do something, leek, hyssop, toothache plant, dwarf, pak choi, cabbage, mammoth, red rock cabbage, calabrese, broccoli, butter crunch, lettuce, and onion. Shallots. Carol, have seen these motion sprinklers you have spoke of. Cayenne pepper powder repels cats. Yes, your spice cabinet has tools. When applying any kind of spice powder, you have to keep doing it if it rains, if the thing is still coming back. And you can just buy, cheap ones at the dollar store, not a dollar store, to use for garden application. Or you might be able to have a bulk purchase. Sometimes there's a co-op near you that you can even bring your own container and you fill it and you weigh it and then buy it by the weight if you want to go that route. Carol says I didn't even read all the answers, so I got it wrong too. Yeah, you guys took classes where you learned how to pass tests. I had to take classes that taught you the strategics of test taking. Sometimes the very last thing would say, if you stand up in your chair and say your name, you don't have to complete the rest of the 20 questions. Like, it would trick people that didn't even read through it. They would complete the whole test for no reason. Thanks. Now I know the CD hanging in the garden is to chase away birds. I've done it. I wouldn't do it again just because it's ugly and I hated it. The thing I do to chase away birds is I feed them and water them elsewhere. I provide them with a place to eat and drink, so they're not in the garden, they're over there. And they can be happy little birds, because birds come and eat bugs, which I need them to eat bugs, but I don't want them picking at my peas and ripping fruit apart, right? In the grapevines of the winery, they have strips of plastic silver foil fluttering in the wind for birds. Motion freaks things out. Ribbons flying. Shawnee was hanging out on the beekeeper chat tonight. Her humor might be a little raw tonight. They had a lot of people in the chat. And that channel has like 200 subscribers. I'm gonna go back there, that's for sure. We all have great suggestions. There's something called a scaredy cat plant, one inside each year. As it warms up, take cuttings, start new plants to plant out the garden after last frost. Cats don't like it. Keeps them out of the beds. Scaredy cat plants. Beekeepers can have that effect on people that hang out in our live chats. That probably looks kind of pretty, but not to birds. Generic big container cayenne from Blue Stores is cheap. I believe it. Yep, cheap. And it lasts a long time. I'm pretty sure that'll keep rabbits out too. Yeah, but usually the first one's the correct answer. Is that statistically accurate, Mo? Do you have evidence to back that up? The birds here eating bugs. Yeah, we need them. We need them to do that. I feed birds and squirrels in the front yard. They only eat bugs in my garden. Right. There's like this secret language of agreement. When you feed the bird, don't eat food in garden. Birds over there with the squirrels, and then the squirrels get bored. The squirrels like to bury their walnuts around my in-town garden. I haven't seen them do it at the offsite garden. And then they forget where they put them and they dig up bulbs of flowers. I just replant them. Miss Sharon says to Serena, thanks. Scaredy cat plant Coleus caninus is a flowering member of the mint. Oh, it's a mint family with an unusual smell. Planted to repel animals. Most are just seeking water. Yeah, that's what I found. I just refilled their, like, I literally took a pie pan that was metal that I had my kids use for like sandbox play, and I'm like, nope, this is the birds now, and I keep it up, or on the ground even, and I have rocks in it because then bees will land on the rocks and take a drink. It's a really wonderful thing, and I just fill it up when I don't have rain coming. I would like a bird bath. That would be great. It works with some birds, crows and ravens. Oh, the crows, you got to throw them the bones of your steak, and you got to have a relationship with those crows. My daughter said one looked like a chicken because it was so big the other day, and it was hilarious. Hey, Tammy Harder, welcome. We're going to keep going as soon as I get all of the comments read, and then I'm going to go to the next section for our companion planting because I have more to say. All right, all right. Evidence? I passed high school that way. All right. I'm taking your word on this. Yes, squirrels plant the trees. Yeah, that's the truth. Since I've attracted birds, I noticed less mosquitoes. I don't recall how many mosquitoes certain birds eat in a year, but that's an important fact. Dragonflies too. Well, that's cute. What do birds drink at social gatherings? Worm tea? I like that one, Serena. Pet bowls is what Mike uses. Yeah. It's just whatever will hold water, right? That won't blow away. Full water, no more bit tomatoes. Yes, exactly. Yeah, the birds love to plant seeds, and that's perfectly fine. So the next thing I want to talk about is a beetle bunk. How many of you have heard of a beetle bunk? I have to push a button. Here we go. Anybody? So essentially, it is a perennial planting space that is usually in a mound form of a mix of grasses. Now, this is showing plants as well. And they're saying 3 to 4 mounds. Well, this is just like a hedgerow of mounds that's placed near a garden space that you can trim once a year whenever you need to bring in ground beetles to eat slugs, snails, caterpillars, and larvae. So the picture I'm showing, the link is in the description. It's the Nodding Onion Gardens blog spot link, and it says build beetle bump for your backyard. It literally walks you through this. So if you want to do this, I'm going to let you go in there and read it. I'm not going to talk about it, but it's amazing. And you might already have something like this in your space and you didn't know it was a lovely hotel for beetles, which we need. Next is the pollinators. Okay, big conversation here. Support native bees and our honeybees. Planting lots of flowers, using native plants, using bright colors, providing water sources, providing shelter, saving the bees. So we're going to talk about different types of bees and what they like. So before I do that, actually, we're going to look at the butterfly picture real quick because they're important. When trying to attract butterflies, there's all different kinds. And you need to understand what they like to live in, where they like to leave their eggs, and what the larvae and caterpillars eat, because it's two different plants usually. You need to have the pair. So this is a hard to read, I'm sure, from your angle. But again, it's in the description of, monarch, zebra, painted lady, red spotted purple, common buckeye, tiger swallowtail, all of them with a plant name. And it's important to look at the food source that they need for their babies, okay? So the types of bees is the next. Leafcutter bee likes the black-eyed Susan flower. Our bumblebees are so important. They like blueberries, squash, sunflowers, snapdragons, baptisia, lupins. They help nightshades by buzzing. The vibration of their buzzing helps shake the pollen to release it from the anther. So now all these things that I just listed kind of don't need bees to transfer pollen to make the flower, or the fruit, but they need the buzzing to help release the pollen from the anther. And you'll find bumblebees definitely in squash flowers around my garden. There's sweat bees. Sweat bees have a purpose. They like raspberries, strawberries, herbs that make a flower, those black-eyed Susans, the mountain mint, the sunflowers. There is a common thing with sunflowers. They're good for a lot of purposes here. We can't forget our small native bees. Asters, daisy-like flowers, cosmos, black-eyed Susan, sunflowers, Mexican sunflowers, all will attract and give a food source for small native bees. We also have our mason bees. They are tunnel nesters in wood and hollow stems. So apple trees and other fruit trees they like to help pollinate and eat from. After mason bees, we're going to talk about mining bees. They are in the ground in sandy soil and they help with cherry trees, plums, peaches. So to encourage bees to come by, having enough food for all bees with a variety of bloom times is key. So all types of when it's warm enough out to have food for them. So we're talking about things that bloom early, mid, and late, as well as a home for them, leaving the leaves, brush piles, rock mounds in place, and having that water for them like we spoke about before. So to give examples for early blooming plants, possibly in your area, you're going to have to look up your specific growing situation for timing and temps and perennials, but they have roses on this list, dandelions for sure, sumca, willows, blackberries, and then for things that bloom later for them, asters, coneflower, goldenrod, milkweed. that habitat is important. You have to have both. So the hollow stemmed plants like Joe Pye weed, box elder, brambles, cut plant, bee balm. Okay. We also have our lovely honeybees, okay? They like asters, lavender, goldenrod, coneflower, clover, bee balm, black-eyed Susan, all the fruit trees, maple trees, willow trees, lupin, thyme, and I found out that almond pollen is a full, complete nutrient source for them. If you can grow almonds, I would do it. There is a warning that I also learned about, and Silly Lily was talking about it today. Flowers that have toxic nectar. Did you guys know about this? Azaleas, rhododendrons, and California buckeye. So what I don't know is like, isn't the bee smart and they don't go to those flowers? Does anyone want to discuss that conversation before I say about the bees in the news? And I have some news articles to talk about the bees in the news. Oh, where am I going back to here? Here we go. Stop chat. No, you keep putting out the nuggets of gold and bee information. You're okay. We're in bees now, so I'm sure you already know this. Richard says pesticides to kill mice and bunnies was banned because it ended up killing black eagles. A farmer with a private nature reserve set up to save the eagles. Now the eagles are eating the bunnies. Eagles eating bunnies? Holy schmoly. Yeah. Tammy says, hi there, Shadow Swede. Nice to see you too. Hi there, Crazy Life Homestead. DCB sounds like a converted VW. Oh, that's pretty. Very nice. Richard says, the black eagles got an upgrade from extremely endangered to endangered. Okay, on the list. Yeah. Silly Lily, do those grasses stay in clumps or do they spread? I've been thinking about putting them in. So let's have you read that article and see what grasses they list. I do recall from my book that talked about the beetle mounds, there was a certain timing of when you chopped the grass. So think about how grass spreads. It's either the rhizome, like the root, or the seed. So timing with cutting, I think, would help because you might not want it to spread. They might have a list of grasses that don't do that. I'm not sure. DCBs, we like bumblebees and the stingless little tiny bees. Tammy, I would like to plant some lemongrass this year. That sounds fantastic. I saw DCBs. I saw three monarchs last season, 2 yellow and 1 orange. I'm very excited to see the butterflies again. What helps with grubs? My neighbor's yard got destroyed and there's a lot of grubs in it. Grub, there's a whole identification list of what the grub is because grubs turned into something. It's the babies. Grubs are like the larvae stage of something bigger. So identifying the family then can be discussed of what's something that's going to eat it. Probably birds, most likely. Silly Lily, DC bees, mason bees pollinate much more than honeybees. It's all about having the balance of it all, right? We want more than one type of bee. And it's important to teach children the different types of identification of bees because I've seen children go berserk because they think something's going to sting them. And it's a bee that doesn't sting, right? Like, educate, right? DCBs, monarchs like sticker bush blooms. That is what I was seeing them on. I see monarchs on zinnias a lot too. Sweat bees love dandelions. DC bees, they pollinate different plants than the honeybees. Yeah, that's why we need that mix. Hey, you're over on Unique Prepping, coming in to hit the like button. Have a good live. Thanks for your support. Appreciate you stopping by. Funky Jasunky, DCBs. What part of what determines the plant a bee pollinates is their tongue length and shape. Right. All about what they physically can get to, and if they want certain types of nectar, I think is what I was reading. Storms has some words to say about sweat bees. Silly Lily to DCBs, yes, mason bees are more effective pollinators than honeybees. Mason bees pollinate around 90% of the flowers they visit, while honeybees only pollinate about 5% according to research. Crazy Live Homestead, there is a primary 3 season for bees and various plants that go with those seasons. Mike, I like them. Never had one bother me, Storms. Carol, I have the orange milkweed that they like. They like that too, but it's their larval host. I need to plant more, but not sure where in case I need to use BT. Whenever you're using BT, understand the wind, understand the timing of what's going on around you, and direct apply it instead of broadcasting it. And it can be helpful. DCBs, that is why she is listing different types of plants. Many bees go after differing plants. Yes, that variety, that diversity. Mike, I've seen the other bees chase them away from flowers and then be like, nah, I'm back. Carol, so not sweat bees, a-hole bees is better to berry. DCBs, a mason bee goes after different plant types than a honeybee. They are also 4 times the size of a honeybee. So let's see. Mason bee is, let's see if I don't have it on the screen right now, so hold on. Yeah, they're like fatter. I know that graph is probably hard to see if you're on a phone, so just go in the description and you can look at it in your own big screen. DCBs, Shawnee, no, actually honeybees really like most of the blooms that are toxic to them. Really? They haven't developed, with over time your species just knows like what not to go towards. And they don't have that. They really do go to the ones that are toxic to them. Well, that is disappointing. Wow. The mason bees are your favorite? Let's see here. Is that what that says? I read it over there, not over here. DC bees, mason bees are the tiny ones, my fave. Okay, yeah. Carol, mason bees, the big fat ones, or are those bumblebees? So bumblebees are fat too. Carpenter bees look fat. Again, go to the chart. They're different color completely. Mason bees don't look anything like the bumblebee. Bumblebees are black and yellow. Mason bees look like the shiny metallic paint jobs on cars from this picture. Storms, tornadoes, and cats. Duh, that's what eagles do. Sorry, not sorry. Yeah, I would like eagles to have space in this earth, so I'm fine with it. Because look at how fast a bunny can spread the family genes. Silly Lily, South Florida sunshine, big fat ones are bumblebees. I love bumblebees, says Mike. So fuzzy. Yeah, it's really cute when you see them sleeping in flowers. DCBs, a mason bee, the ones that you use the straw nest for, they are like 2 times the size of a honeybee. Bumblebees are the ones that are big and fuzzy. Carol says, love watching bumblebees up north. They're not down here in Florida. Plant Partners book, Amazon link in the description. So if I go to the description, is this tab? It's going to go articles and then videos and then books. So Companion Planting for Beginners is that book by that YouTube guy. I think it's Brian. He's got a pretty popular channel. The Plant Partners would be this one. I had one who handle my mower as I mowed. What? Rode Rolled the handle of your mower as you mowed. Do you think it liked the vibration? Carol says, I have huge lemongrass that dies back a bit each winter. What do you do with your lemongrass? Is it just for looks? DCBs, sweat bees, are the small black bees. They are stainless. If they are on you and you feel a sting, it's actually them biting. I thought it was them peeing. It's them chewing on your flesh. That's great. Tell my kids that. They're the white grubs that are right there on top of the soil, easy to find. Well, I'm sure there's an app or a book where you could identify what the grub is to help answer that question. DCBs, the sweat bees are the small black bees that are stainless. If they're on you, you feel a sting. It's actually them biting. Is that typed in there twice? I read that. Tammy Harder, milky spore kills grubs for the Japanese beetles. Thank you, Tammy. Okay, so you think it's the one that becomes June bug, so then you would type in what eats June bug larvae. And then the internet will tell you. Yeah, the zinnias, I seen them on. And then my butterfly garden crop list was yarrow, coneflower. I'll have to get the list out because I don't remember. I have the list in the video that I talked about the butterfly garden. Which video would that have been? I don't know. It was a video, not a live stream. I don't do many videos, honestly. Oh, Scott says mason bees are tiny but mighty. Silly Lily to DCBs. Okay, the little ones are what you call sweat bees. Are they the ones who use those tube houses? Yeah, there's actual homes you can build or buy and kits for bees, different types of bees. If you're crafty and handy, you could look that up. DCBs as an apology to Silly Lily, confusing Mason and Carpenter in the memory. The link to the book that I showed, that I referenced for all the information tonight, as well as the articles in the description. Brown bumbles aren't in my part of South Florida. I do not speak for all of Florida. Oh, okay, good point. Good point. DCBs, I think I've been confusing Mason with sweat bees. Hey, Kentucky Goblin, if a sweat bee does not bother you, you are not doing enough to sweat. You don't like them either. Barry was saying the same thing. Yeah, they kind of just annoy, like they keep landing on you, right? Mo says to Serena, those grubs also kill thread in Dragon Riders of Pern by Anne Caffrey. Okay, we're going to talk about the bees in the news. If you don't know, there has been some news articles wrote about the bees, the honeybees specifically. So let's read them, shall we? You can also read them in the description. Bee Culture, the magazine of American beekeeping, posted February 7th of 2025 severe and sudden losses of managed honeybees across the nation. Commercial beekeepers in the U.S. inspect their bees after winter to transport over 90% of the nation's managed honeybees to pollinate California almonds, and they are discovering alarming colony losses. These losses are severe, broad, and may impact food security through inadequate pollination services. Survey results are still accumulating, but information gathered from 234 beekeepers found average recent losses well over 50%. With an addition of losses from other years, the percentages are 70% to 100% loss over the past 12 months. So you might ask yourself, what is going on, right? The symptoms of losses are reminiscent of CCD, colony collapse disorder conditions that went rampant apparently between 2007 and 2008. Bees were disappearing suddenly from the colonies. Scientists are inspecting deceased colonies to figure out what's happening because they had ample honey stores. Another symptom, let's see here. Florida beekeepers 2 years ago lost 90% of their colonies. There's a USDA ARS Bee Research Laboratory in Beltsville, MD, to sample and identify parasites, pathogens, and pesticides involved in these crashes. Chemical exposures were also analyzed. Okay, so in January 2025, beekeepers again discovered sudden losses, and response surveys were shared to determine the extent of the problem, and samples were collected. Because we need the information, guys. So if you are a beekeeper and you have discovered losses, you should fill out the survey. There might be one on this page, but I'm pretty sure this one for sure had a link. So I'm going to go over this article too. The nationalnutgrower.com, beekeeper input needed amid widespread honeybee colony losses, posted February 10th of 2025. Again, it talks about 50% plus loss for the 2025 almond pollination season. Like we talked about earlier, almonds pollen is a full nutrient source, has everything for the bees. And again, it affects our food supply if we don't have enough pollinators. Looking for more information to speak about that wasn't repetitive. Again, you can read these in your own time. Beekeeper. Okay. That was it for that one. So did you know that, everybody? Did you know what's happening out there? Let's check the comments section here. Gandalf's lurking. Hey! Oh, you're packing, rolling, what is it called? The cigarettes? Did you do your dishes, Gandalf? Because if not, you better get on it. I'm trying to figure out where I'm at here. I think right here. Have chopped my lemongrass and saved it for tea. Need to use more of it. Okay, question. If you chop lemongrass, kind of like with mint leaves, and you sprinkle it on the ground, does it deter pests and it confuses them? The roots are hard to get out, as I would love to split it up and replant it around the yard. Sounds like a big day for a shovel there. DCBs, I have read Dragon Riders of Pern many years ago. Oh yeah, everyone has been talking about this one. Everyone, sorry, I didn't read that right. Oh yeah, everyone has been talking about this one. We got to have good fluency here, right? I used to teach reading. It's not good this year. Not good. I know. I want to know what we can do. And I think it's plant more food and habitats for everything. All the pollinators. Lawn grubs vary between types of lawns too. Yeah, I mean, if you looked at a chart of grub identification, there's actually, it's just nuts. And yes, we were talking about the commercial beekeepers, which it was interesting to hear that commercial beekeepers don't talk with each other as often across the board when we have technology like this, where backyard, I don't know, what do you call them? What do you call you guys? The small beekeepers, the backyard beekeepers? They talk every night, every week, every month. They're constantly like, hey, what's going on with you? What did you try? What's this food? What's that thing? But there's this lack of communication with the commercial beekeepers, and I thought that was fascinating. DCB says it's also happening to smaller keepers. You're seeing loss in your hives over the winter. And I'm also curious if it's the extreme weather patterns and having more colder temps where bees aren't used to that in their natural environment. And it's so sad, Diva. I know. Now, there are all those other bees we spoke about that we have to keep in mind, but it's very sad for the honeybees. Okay, Gandalf, hi, Dragon Riders of Pern fans, so am I. Okay, Kentucky Goblin, I use pie pans hanging from a pole around the garden. They do keep the big critters away, like deer, coons, and rabbits. Yeah, it's that reflection and movement. And things are smart. Like, you know how you use scarecrows? They need to be moved, because the animal will go, oh, that was there before and it didn't hurt me, so it's not scary anymore, Mo says, Crazy Life Homestead says, most of the time those statistics are overkill. Drama queen numbers. DCBs, they do not know yet. Yeah, it's the 17th today. So they're still gathering. There was a deadline to commit to do the survey, and then like the samplings need to be done. And all the bee labs are working on it. Yeah, I can follow up with this, just like I want to follow up with the Chelsea Flower Show for the AI garden tour. Miss Sharon says, I will be planting a lot more for the bees this year. DCBs, this is current, like the last month. Yeah, yeah. Tammy, I know the Japanese beetle grubs are big white looking ones. Never had them until I moved to my current place in southern Minnesota. So for Japanese beetles, I catch them when they are the beetle. And that's when I hand pick and collect and put them in a cup that has water with soap in it. The soap kind of creates this barrier where once they're in there, they can't crawl out. Because if it's just water, they'll like crawl to the side of the cup and try to get out, and they'll crawl on top of each other and create like a ladder and get out. Because if you squish a Japanese beetle, it emits a scent and a smell, and it tells the other ones to come here. So you also don't want to dump the carcasses near your garden, but you must destroy. Serena, yeah, hello. Silly Lily, I'm finding very few bees in our area. It's why I'm growing flowers to attract them and support them. Plant more flowers. I did a wildflower hedge at the offsite garden, and I will always have one. I want more wildflower hedges. DC bees, I filled it out. Mine bees do not appear to be being affected, but time will tell. Spring is 2 months off. Yeah. Mo says, when I had my bees in Tennessee, it took the state extension office 8 months to get my hives registered. They don't have the resources to keep up with the American population. And that might just be for your state. Like they need more funding to make that flow better for people. South Florida sunshine, different types of lawn grubs are found in different regions of the United States, including European chafers, Japanese beetles, May beetles, and masked. Is there more to that, or is that the end? Gandalf to Mo and DCBs, I'm enjoy the Pern stories. Kentucky Goblin Randall says, I have all sorts of bees here. Darth X, did anyone mention the tiny green metallic bees? Love them. Oh, where's my chart? Let's see if I can figure out what you're talking about. There's a golden green carpenter bee. I wonder if that's what you're talking about. DCBs. My bees seem to be doing okay, but I do know beekeeper that have lost 50% or more. Wow. Good. I'm glad you did your dishes, Gandalf. I need to find time to read the entire Pern series. Or do they have like one where someone reads it to you and you could listen to it? DCPs, yes, Shawnee. That is what people can do. Think of the pollinators. Again, we talked about plant lists for pollinators in this chat. My husband is the lawn and ornamental business, just letting folks know it is not just that one beetle. Tammy Harder, you did good. Yeah. I listened to a gal talk about grubs who like is scientific, and I can't remember any of the words she said, but there's all kinds of different like families and descriptions for how to identify a grub. It's just crazy. There's, Okay, Silly Lily. Monoculture does not support the health of bees from what I understood. They need variety. Do you want to eat the same food over and over and over and over again? Right? Same concept. They want variety. Or they need variety. Hey, everyone. Okay, let's see. DCBs. The FDA and the university bee labs have taken samples and are running tests. The test can take 3 months. Well, that's planting season for me. I didn't get it either, Carol. Because he's in the lawn business, he doesn't like YouTube? I don't understand it, Darth X. You don't have to explain, but I'm confused. Well, hopped in to say hi, going to do other things now, like taking over the world. You forgot the laughing. Mwahaha. At the end. See ya, Randall. DCBs, the national average of bee loss is normally around 40% this year. This year may be up to or in 70s nationally. National averages, guys. Enjoy ruling the world, Randall. I hit the like on my way out, on my way out, the out. Thank you. The ones related to sweat bees. The national average of bee loss is normally... Okay, I feel like that is in there twice. Yes, Pern on YouTube. To whoever's following that conversation, please join the community and support the channel. I have a website, Shawnee Grows, where I have information about me, information about square foot planting guide, planting your garden guide, planting a salad garden. Jack and the Beanstalk. I plant some taller flowers like sunflowers that stand out so bees can find the garden easier. Yeah, like a beacon call, like, come here to my garden. Sunflowers are very good for bees, says DCBs. Excuse me, remember to hit the like, thumbs up. If you have a Prime account on Amazon, Audible gives you 1 credit for audiobooks and you're using them for the Burn series. We have fantastic information coming out of the side chat here, everybody. I don't think that's pertinent at all to this conversation, Darthax. You have a warning. DCBs, the sunflower oils are good for bees, then pollen has good nutrient. Oh, okay. Oh, you were fixing the typos? Okay. Duncan, 1900 Homestead, good evening. We're at the end. I have a couple more things to say, but we're closing it soon. Hi to you. Okay, so let's take that off the screen, go back to where I want to say things. Remember to check the description for the book links, the video links. There's plenty of channels out there that also talk about companion planting. They take you through their garden and show you things that have worked for them. Maybe they're in your zone. Podcasts to listen to. If you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe for more gardening chats. Remember, healthy soil, well-fed food web gives plants a strong immune system. Having plant diversities, many families in one space, roots in the ground. If you're going to take a plant away, cut it at the surface and leave the roots. Don't rip it out. When plants have strong immune systems, the bugs aren't going to want to eat it so much. They're going to try to eat it and they're going to be like, oh, I only want the sick, weak plants. The strong immune system plants can handle some bug damage. They just keep growing. They take care of themselves. When a plant has a strong immune system, it has a high nutritional value for the human and animal to eat it and have a healthy gut microbiome. That diversity, more roots in the ground, leaving the roots in the ground, is the baseline. And then you add the companions, right? So when you're choosing companion plants, choose what job you want them to do. Diversity. Sidebar. The goal for me right now for Shawnee Grows is to reach 1,500 watch time hours by February 28th. So the current total I'm at today, which the data is from the 12th of this month because it doesn't go every day right away. There's like a backlog, is 1,398. So I'm going to say right now, thank you, everyone, for your support here by watching the content, watching playlists, sharing it with a friend, joining us for these live streams that I don't plan regularly. Like, it's always whenever I can fit it into my life, and I appreciate all of you. And you in the replay, I see you. As Radio Jonesy would say, the closing crew that's at the end of the live. And I kind of want to hear quickly if you guys have some suggestions on where should we go next. I have some ideas, but I always want to hear what the viewers want to do. What should we discuss next in the future live streams? It might be fit into February. I just don't know when I'll have time, but I like to have a notebook with ideas. So please, right now in the chat, when I close the poll, keep typing in suggestions on things you think we should talk about. So what are the purposes of planting companion plants? Hopefully you understand the answer to that. And it's all of the above and more. It attracts pollinators. It deters pests. Here, let's go back to the... banner, which I hit the max on. You can't put more than 50 banners in a stream. Helping nitrogen is a purpose of companion planting. Breaking up compacted heavy soils, creating living mulches, using plants for support and structure, like trellises, having specific companions together for that, creating barriers, your hedgerows, trapping purposes for pests, pushing away pests with interplanting, predators, we need to bring them in to eat the pests and to help us with our ecosystem, and bringing in those pollinators to help the fruit and vegetables grow. Okay. So one moment, please. I need to look for something here, and it's a different screen over here. Okay, yeah, you did what I was gonna do, Carol. Thank you. I just saw that. Let's figure out where I left off in the chat. Man, I scrolled too far up and I have to go back down. Thank you, Miss Sharon. Yep, we did the poll. She did that smooth sidebar and she leans to the side. Tammy Harder has a heart. Thank you for the heart. Yay. Hugs, hearts. Oh, lots of love from Diva. Thank you. Thank you, Mo. Yes, congratulations on all your numbers. Feels good. Sure does. Yay. Celebrate. Yes. I'll have to check your playlist and watch to build your watch time. Oh, that'd be great if you have the ability to do that and run stuff. I have playlists created. Boomerangs. That's right, Gandalf. I was hoping to see him tonight. He might be at work though. Oh, good DCBs. I loved having you here. Perfect timing with things because you actually understand the bee talk and it's pertinent information, and I truly appreciate you sticking around. I'm glad you had fun. DCBs, all of the above. DC's gets a day. You're back. Welcome back. More coffee. Fantastic live, says Miss Sharon. Thank you all for joining us in chat. Ways to improve soil. I need to learn. Okay. We will do that in the list of things to talk about. Barry, I would like to find out if I can grow hops and barley. Yes, for exactly what you're thinking. We would want to look at where it likes to grow as far as environment with the sun and how much you need to plant for sure. And then understanding what it's going to take to harvest those things. Because barley, if I remember right, you could get a kind that has less processing, because I've looked into stuff like this, and if it will even grow in your zone. DCBs. You are welcome and my pleasure, says Carol. DCBs. Oh, berry hops are cool to grow. They smell so good also. DCBs. I want to start growing my own hops. They grow the Olympia strain in eastern WA. Silly Lily. Storm Zeros and Cat's grandmother was an amazing gardener who gardened by the phases of the moon. She also used hops as a bread starter and smoked a cob pipe. Look at that. We did talk about when you garden by phases of the moon in our live stream. That was about like growing more sustainable foods. We talked about regenerative agriculture, adaptation agriculture, permaculture, and then biodynamic farming, I believe, was when you're taking in considerations with cycles, moon cycles. Barry saying, hey, oh, Diva, hey. That is a sweet memory, Silly Lily. Crazy Life Home said, good night. I think she's just listening. I don't think she's active. Barry. Mike, barley, yes. Minnesota, hops, not as much. So it'll probably work in Kentucky. Hops doesn't like humidity. Hops likes Eastern Washington. I know that much. Washington State is the largest hops producer in the US. Like, there's brewing stores too where you could just buy a bag of hops and still make your own without having to grow it. Silly Lily, how cool. Sounds like an interesting lady. Yeah, Diva's just listening. She's not actively. There she goes. Storms. There. We got it. That would be why it like Eastern WA. It's super dry. Yeah, the hops growing conditions. Okay. Thank you all for being here. Say your goodbyes. Whoa, Guardian prepping. Hey, it was a great topic for a live stream. I would really appreciate the rewatch later. We talked about tons of things and current events going on with the bees. People say your goodbyes. We're going to wrap it up and end. Yeah, there's a brewery store around here too, Mike. Have a good night, everyone. My last banner I always throw up, right, is grow every day in every way, learn as you grow. You don't like beer enough to buy all the equipment, nor do I. Nor do I. Yes, peace, love, says Mike. All right. I don't know when we're going live next, so must subscribe and have the bell on so you'll be notified because I always have it at least 30 minutes ahead of time. Thumbs up on the way out. Thank you all.